You've tuned into the Bellingham Podcast for the week of July 11th, 2020. This is episode 160. From that tongue-twisted city by the Salish Sea, I am AJ Barcay.
And once again, straight out of 98226, I am Chris Powell. On this episode, we're in double digits in the Quarantine Chronicles, boys and girls. This is number 10 of the lockdown, quarantine, COVID-era conversations coming to you live, recorded at least, from the Northridge Trail in the Barkley District. This, you wonderful people out there, is the Bellingham Podcast.
Except no substitutions. How we doing, Chris?
Love to be in our outdoors recording studio in this wonderful weather. By the way, I got to make mention, we're in almost mid-July. Just check the weather app on the old phone.
Seriously.
64 degrees.
Ooh.
Breeze blowing. For the rest of y'all out there in the world toiling in heat.
We're sorry.
We're sorry, yeah, but I'm like, this is not July weather. But if you come to the Northwest, this is the best time to be here. So anyway, AJ, how about yourself?
I'm not doing too bad. I'm glad it's not raining. I mean, I love the fact that summer for us has kind of been a little bit of a COVID summer. Hardy har har. It's more like been spring. Like we've had rain, and then we had thunder. Now we've got full blue sky and sunshine. I ain't complaining.
And last night, my beautiful wife and I were walking our little doggy, and she really enjoys warm temperatures or hot temps.
Sure.
And she's like, this feels like May. So we're kind of 2 months behind in the weather pattern and stuff. That must mean that maybe September is going to be still a warm month for everything. Anyway, let's talk about what be going on since our last recording last week.
Yeah, and this episode is going to be Chris and I's attempt at being happy. We're getting our happy on this one, dude.
I got my like happy hat firmly in place right now.
Oh yeah, this is old happy hat. So we're talking about all the good stuff. Let's start with the localish beat. You actually chimed in off the mic about something you found out that's happening in our fair city.
Yes,
at the time of this recording.
Absolutely. And before I do that, I'm going to go off script.
Sure.
Last episode, I asked permission. I'm not going to ask permission this time.
Thank you.
I'm just going to go off script.
Go.
Shout out to our faithful listener, Ron, who's been undertaking a new chapter in his career.
Yeah.
Hope that's going well, Ron. Miss you. Like that old Poison ballad from the 80s. I won't forget you. Anyway.
Ron, you're the goods, dude. Thanks for listening to the show all these years.
Absolutely. As of today, we're recording on Friday.
Yeah.
And there was a news report that I happened to catch that in the Department of Hope department, which is not that redundant, Bellingham is having some free drive-by COVID testing out of Civic Field.
Yeah.
And as we're recording it, there's probably a line of cars right now to have the insurance card, have the ID, and to get the swab, if you will.
Right.
So it's a sign of hope because now we have testing, and here's hoping that in future episodes we'll be talking about, hey, you don't have to get something jammed into your brain to test your sinuses for if you're positive for coronavirus, that we might be able to do the old saliva test.
Yeah.
That would be another sign of hope. But hey, more testing. Bellingham's got it as a version 1.0.
Yeah, and I when you said this, because I had heard that Skagit had also been starting doing this fairly recently, within the last week or two. So like it's moving north, which is cool.
Yes.
So hopefully that'll help with our numbers up here in the north.
Absolutely. So anyway, let's talk about. We always talk about everyday carries.
Yeah.
And back in the societal days, we had a certain amount of things that we would take with us. Things have changed. AJ, how was your everyday carry, the EDC? How has that changed for you?
So full disclosure, Chris and I talked about this off the mic, and this kind of came from something that from the last episode, and just kind of moving forward with Chris and I. It's funny. Minimalism or essentialism or whatever ism you want to throw on this. Like, times have changed. Like, to throw down even if you're in a white collar type of job, do you really throw on that business suit, that 3-piece suit? Like, moving forward, things have kind of shifted. Now, I'm not saying that we're going to go to full athleisure, folks. I'm not saying that, yoga pants are going to be business attire. That's not what I'm saying. But
I look good in my yoga pants. Make no mistake.
Hey, dude, Lululemon. No, just kidding. Full disclosure.
I go to athleisure. Thank you very much.
Athleisure. No.
So
anyway,
you want to see me in the yoga pants. Anyway, get back on track, would you?
Look, we're doing the happy. So look, it got me thinking. All of these shows, I listen to a lot of podcasts. We watch a lot of stuff, and it's going to be interesting and fascinating seeing when we come out of lockdown, how things in the small communities that we are a part of, like Minimalist and the EDC, not so much the Watch Fam is pretty much the same, but how things are going to be adaptive. So for instance, like right now, I bet you half the well, I can tell because you don't even have a bag with you. Half the EDC that you carry anymore, you don't carry anymore.
No, it's kind of what you got on your person.
Yeah.
And going back to your comment about, the white collar workers are getting dressed in the suit to go to the office and things. If you are a listener out there that actually still gets dressed up with at least a top up.
Yeah, from the belly button up.
From the camera.
From the zoom camera up.
That's right. Good on you, because
Sure.
there's a mind shift change in which when you put on the clothes, you're in that professional mindset.
Totally.
You can't always wear the Motorhead t-shirt like I often do. My place of employment hired me not for my awesome wardrobe acumen, but for my mind and my ability to solve problems quickly. Doesn't matter if I got Motley Crue or Motorhead or Slayer on there, and you pick which of those are my favorite bands. It's what I provide as the service.
Yeah.
And mercifully, I don't have to be on camera all the time.
Right. But I mean, we did say that early on, like at the early days of our COVID Chronicles, we said, like, do a routine in your morning because that'll help you with your professionalism, however you're presenting yourself online, or a hybrid if you have to go in the office or whatever. But in thinking of things, like, I've also been purging, which is the reason why this topic came up. I was purging a lot of my clothing, and if you ask my wife, I hang on to clothing way too long. I mean, even if they got holes, man, as long as you can't see the holes, I'll keep them around in the wardrobe. I took this time when I was purging also to reacquire. So I've got basically a full, it is minimalist, I hate to say it, minimalist attire. Like, it's basically the same shirt that you're seeing here in two different colors, black, gray, and blue.
Could it be that you are assembling a capsule wardrobe?
Pretty much. I mean, I've got basically like five black shirts.
I approve.
Yeah. So the company that I've gone with, and I've gone through a few of them. My build is, I would say, like I weigh on a good day a 173.
Lucky.
Yeah, well, thank you. And I've got a I would say mountain fit body. Okay, I go to the mountains pretty much every other weekend. Like I don't run as much as I used to, but I would not say I am an athletic build. I'm also half Italian, so I like things that fit. Okay, are well fitted, not muscle shirt busting out, pump and iron type of style.
Calm down, ladies. He's already spoken for. He's already married. Anyway, continue, please.
Okay, with that disclosure, finding clothes has always been a pill for me. And so, because it's either A, the muscle shirt like sup type of motif, or like you said, it's the Motorhead, like, dun dun dun
Yes.
dun dun.
The Beavis and Butthead attire.
Yeah, and it's not really me. And also, I don't like wearing big branded clothing. And you and I have talked about this before. I mean, last year you redid a little bit of your wardrobe and got some black shirts from, like, I think Everlane or Brandless. I can't remember what the name was.
I did some dabbling in the wardrobe things, and we can talk about that later.
Yeah. So with it, I came on to a company called Good Threads. Good Threads is it's quote an Amazon brand. I'll say that, but the thing about it is that I don't know what their ecological impact is or environmental impact as a company. They are sourcing stuff from overseas, being made. But regardless, like, the quality of what I've seen from them for clothing is not the fast fashion type. It's it's all cotton, it's heavier cotton. And if we'll see how they wear in and stuff. But for my type of build, it fits me like a glove. And then combining that with, I was listening to a podcast recently.
Really?
I know. And somebody, I don't think they were from around here. I think they were from the Midwest. And they made the joke that everybody in the Pacific Northwest looks like they're ready to attack a mountain, but nobody does. And I'm just like...
Wow, that's a real passive-aggressive insult.
It was, but it's something that we talked about in our stereotypical PNW series that we did, where we do... Normally, we rock things like Patagonia, North Face, so on and so forth. Misconceptions, though, and we talked about this previously, is that, we do rock Rocky Mountain hardware, whatever, but a lot of us are kind of the weekend warrior types where it's like, even if you take on a trail and walk your dog, okay, in the Pacific Northwest, that is fraught with peril because it may be 70 degrees at 5 o'clock. By 5:15, it's 40 degrees and raining on you. Like, that is the nature of our area, and I think it lends itself to what our fashion is. while we also do get utility out of it. So with those disclosures, Kuhl, Kuhl, is a company that makes a lot of field attire, for lack of better terms, but I wore it to the office even before the COVID era, and I've kind of I like their pants. They make the series called the Confidant with a K, the Confidant Air, which if you're half Italian like myself and you run hot normally, it has vents on the back of your knees, so it keeps things breathing as opposed to a traditional slack or khaki. And so that's kind of basically my wardrobe these days, is that, black, gray, blue on the tops, and then usually either a green or a khaki style in the cool pants. And that's basically what I'm going to be doing going forward, regardless of lockdown or not.
Wherever you're at in the nation, you may have certain cultural standards for attire. In the Northwest, we're kind of in the REI, recreation equipment international
industries
incorporated, which is high quality gear that is business casual.
Yeah.
And I've seen your attire in the office and outside of the office, and it works. For myself, I really haven't invested that much in clothing, maybe because I'm already married. My wife's stuck with me, and she's used to my uniform of jeans or a black t-shirt.
Yeah. But that's more of why I kind of went down this road. So that whole concept of having like the work uniform type of thing. What's interesting is that, again, I'm on camera a lot for my job, but what's nice about it is by having the same type of thing, especially because I do a lot of recording, you can't tell what day, short of my haircut or my beard cut, what day I record it. I just seamlessly, it's like poof, I just magically have the same thing. Nobody has noticed, even on camera. It goes back to that one. Who is that? There was a businesswoman who did an experiment of having like the same 15 outfits for like over a year or something.
There's been a couple minimalist bloggers that talk about the Project 33.
Yes, that.
Yeah, you have 33 items of clothing that you wear for 3 months, and that's it.
Yeah,
there's it's a movement, if you will, not quite condoing, if you will, not quite essentialism, but you go with what works, and you don't have to have that decision fatigue as you look at the closet. What am I going to wear today?
Yeah.
Oh, it's going to be the dark blue one. Oh, it's going to be the gray one. It's very you get to make decisions in other things in life.
So that's the first part of my EDC, because I'm going to be wearing something if I go inside or outside of my house, or hope you are too. But also, if you're in your house, you might be listening to us on Camry 102.3 FM.
They are community powered and streaming all over this summertime ville known as planet Earth on kmre.org on your internet tubes.
Now, beyond that, what else are you carrying? Like, you and I both wear watches. We got some things in our pockets. I think unanimously, this around my neck and in your left breast pocket is kind of now a new essential, which is... Yeah,
the biggest EDC addition to everyone, at least in our area of the Northwest and the Northwest, is a mask. Mask up. That's what... That's a familiar repeat chorus in many ways. A lot of businesses will not serve you unless you have a mask on as you enter the darn place.
As of last Friday?
Yeah, pretty much. And so therefore, we both saw Tom Bean, BIHN, having their face mask apparel. I got one sight unseen, immediately threw down on version 1.0, and it's black, and I like it, and it works just dandy. And that's my biggest addition. I am a one and only. I still have that wonderful original mask that dear Arlene got me, made for me, which is wonderful, and I will never let go of that because that was a wonderful gesture of kindness. But this one's black.
Yeah.
And so one watch, one mask, but I got another waiting in the wings. And that's what I got going on.
Yeah. So with that said, I've been kind of going down this road because I have a little. So for toddlers, try to find a mask that fits that a toddler will keep on. And granted, because of our medical issues in my household, we don't go out that often, but when we do, the little comes with us. And so I've had a default to basically getting a buff. Any hiker, trekker, biker knows what buff is. Basically, it's a tubular style scarf that you can double over as a bandana and so on and so forth. I got one of those for him, but even a children's sized one is still big, which doesn't do masking up any good. So I've ended up having to hack most of them, either by tying an actual bandana underneath the buff and then actually pinning the buff so that it actually stays tight on him and stuff. If you're a mask manufacturer, or even if you're an indie, don't forget people that are 3 or 4 years old. in creating these, because, I know that a lot of parents, and however you parent, it's up to you, that's totally fine. But I know a lot of parents just, let their kids go out unmasked. I don't, because of other reasons. But, that I think is something that's been lacking. At least in my spheres, I have not seen a solid, here's a masking solution for kids.
There's a guy still around, I believe, but anyway, his name's Chris Guillebeau, and he wrote a book called The $100 Startup, and had a little podcast about side hustles.
Yeah.
And oh, by the way, I saw a lot of people being able to sew masks.
Yeah, totes.
You want to be able to get a niche market, make some masks for kiddos. And what a great way to be able to say, nope, it's not for the bigs. Or if you even use the same fabric, make one for the bigs and the littles.
Yeah.
And then you can have double the revenue coming your way. You heard it here first, boys and girls.
Totally. So I will caveat, if there's anybody listening and screaming at the microphones, yes, but I can do that. No, I totally hear you. The other thing is that a mask for a kiddo, and that's the reason why I kind of went with the buff style, the tubular style, is because kids fidget, play, whatever you want. At least with a scarf style, it's easy to bring up and bring down, as opposed to the loops around the ears or around the neck. I'll even put a link in the show notes.
For the love of Brutus beefcake, drink.
Of course, I'm not going to miss that opportunity. Buff, actually, at the early days of COVID, because a lot of us who trek have buffs right around the house, they actually disclose that because of the way their fabric and how they construct it, it's not optimal for a mask. However, mileage will vary. See store for details. What I typically do is I actually wear like I said, with my toddler, an actual bandana folded over that gives you 2 pieces of fabric and then the buff over the top to make it easier. And if you want to have that extra level of thickness in your mask, that's what I've done to hack it. I'm not a doctor, nor do I play one on podcast. But something along those lines for a kid, a toddler, I think would be great.
Absolutely.
So yeah, that's the other thing that I would throw out. The other one I just want to throw out is because I like the company, Chris, and they're not a sponsor of the show, but I really like this company, Cotopaxi, who's a bag manufacturer.
Really?
Yeah, so Cotopaxi is I think they started as a Kickstarter brand. They have a bag that I'm just waiting for the right color to drop. No, it is not black.
Uh-huh.
So along the lines of Tom Bain, Cotopaxi is doing a pre-order for their masks. And it's basically, if you buy one, they'll also get one to health personnel around the world type of a thing. And again, it's another cause. They're not a sponsor of the show. We're not paid for doing it. I just like them as a company. Their motto is do good. I think they're a B Corp. So they're very economic, or I'm having always a hard time with that. Environmentally sound company, carbon offsetting, all that other jazz, human rights, that type of thing. So I just wanted to showcase them if that is the kind of vein that you're in. Take a look at Cotopaxi with a C. Also, I like their logo. It's a llama.
Alrighty then.
When Ant fans rejoice.
Exactly. It really whips the COVID masks stuff. Woo-hoo. Yeah. Anyway, let's move on, shall we? Let's play some bingo.
Let's play some bingo.
AJ, you go first.
Welcome to the Bellingham Bingo, folks. So this week, I have a very different Bellingham recommendation for takeout. See, in the Pacific Northwest, there is a cultural tradition of salmon. And I love me seafood, Chris. That is the one thing that I absolutely love more than almost any other food is seafood.
Absolutely. Line forms to the left.
And I'm just going to recommend anybody to go to your favorite fisher, fish house, butcher, whoever's got fresh caught salmon. Here near Barkley, I like Hagen's. I'll throw them a line because they're quasi-local. Go down, spend the $30 or $40 for a whole salmon. Bring it home and make it for your family.
Or you could go down to Hannigan Seafoods. They're on Hannigan out in the county. I'm sure they've got a fine selection of seafood out there. Not that they're an advertisement.
Nope.
But I've driven past them at high speeds.
Yep.
And it looks like they got a whole lot of stuff available for you to get. Salmon makes a tasty supper.
Yep. But I also feel that it also supports, especially if you get it as a local fish, it supports the local economy here in the Pacific Northwest. Anyway, I don't have any specific recommendations. Just go get yourself a full salmon.
It must be the blood draining away from my brain, but I cannot think of a column B or I or N or G or O to put the salmon in there, because fish, salmon, nothing was triggering to me. What do you got?
Go fish. G.
Yeah.
Go fish.
There you go. I like it. As far as getting takeout from a local business, we've talked a lot about the lunches and or dinners from wonderful restaurants and joints around here, if you will. Sometimes you just need a drink. And in this case, it would be a healthy smoothie.
Aw, man.
And so lately I have treated myself one time a week because not spending as much on going out to eat as pre-COVID era. But I've been going to Robex over in the Barclayville. Yes, they are a franchise, but yes, they make some tasty drinks.
And the gentleman who owns that franchise is a local guy. So.
There you go. Absolutely. So I guess this would be under the eye for individual smoothies on my bingo card.
I love it. I love it. Individuality, a speciality, a smoothie.
Exactly. All right. We got to talk about some new things that have been going on. This one, in efforts to clean up my data clutter, I was going through a lot of these websites that I would bookmark or in a store it for later repository. And as I'm going through them, so it's not really brand new, but I happened to stumble across a website about book summaries. Now, we've been doing the physical book reading, at least for me, and the voices in my head, as opposed to digital apps to read a book. There's a fellow by the name of Samuel Thomas Davies. And Sam, if you will, the Twitter handle Sam Thomas Davies, is based out of Stockholm, Sweden. And he's the head of content at a website called sleeknote.com. But Samuel Thomas Davies does book summaries of nonfiction books. And in lieu of like just getting the crib notes or if you're a fan of the 80s or 90s Cliff Notes.
Oh, yeah.
It's more like a condensed synopsis with some helpful information in there. And if that piques your interest as you're checking out some of these wonderful productivity, self-help, nonfiction books, now it's an appetite whetter. By watching these summaries on your screen, you can go, I want to read that. And so I think it's kind of like those movie previews that you'd see before the actual movie. Although this one doesn't have annoying commercials for there. So anyway, go check out Book Summaries by Samuel Thomas Davies. Got a link to that in the show notes. For the love of Greg the Hammer Valentine.
Drinky drink.
That's right. What about you, AJ?
Well, my new thing, I had to strike at the last minute off of our show. I was going to do a review of the Baltic Bronze Aquascoff. Minor issue came up with it. Baltic is the good so far. They currently have it in repair in Paris. So I'll have a follow-up with that for next episode. So
stay tuned, watch fam.
Stay tuned. Yeah, that was going to dovetail into the whole EDC thing. So if you're listening to the show and just like, you kind of went off the rails with like fashion as opposed to EDC, it's because we had to do an audible in the middle of the show. But I do believe the next segment is quality assurance. So these picks are selected by AJ Barcet and Chris Powell for your quality assurance.
Absolutely. And one thing that is not relatively new, however, one things that you may not be aware of out there. Should you be a fan of quiet music such as myself, I often will try to have, since I'm working from my guest room, I like to have a little bit of music in the distraction, to provide not jarring distractions, but just something to waves to keep going. Richard Melville Hall, we know him well. His stage name is Moby.
What's up, Moby?
Indeed. Hello, sir. He normally is a techno deity from the 80s and 90s. This guy has so much money and is so famous that he decided to release not one, but two releases.
Yeah, EPs.
Called Long Ambience.
Nice.
You had me at ambient. Long Ambience 1 and 2, 7 hours, 42 minutes of drifting ambient music, downloadable for free off his website.
Good on him.
Indeed. Got a link to that as well. But 7 hours and 42 minutes, if you were to set this playing on a speaker and go to sleep, I wonder how that might affect your sleep patterns.
Dig it.
To take an entire work day, since you take the lunch hour off away from your computer, right, kids?
Yes.
Why not have this be your soundtrack? To take a nap, or let's say you have a little one that is a little tough to, it has difficulties getting to sleep at times. Why not try some Long Ambience and just see what happens?
I'll have to throw this into the chill hopper.
Chill hop. Yeah, I've been watching that on the YouTubes just to play that on the television as the background music.
Raccoon. My son loves the raccoon.
Oh, just checking the phone as he's walking along, just ambling about. I want to picture San Francisco as the backdrop of the moving scenery and
I think they have one of those.
Yeah, but then there's also the gal lying on the bed with the cat with the tail that's purring.
Yep, that's Chill Cow. It's the
Chill
cow.
Cow.
It's the cow one.
But anyway, it's just really entertaining to watch, and yet wonderful background music if you're cooking dinner or doing chores or just hanging out and reading a book. It's good music. But anyway, I love the music selections, and it's free, by the way. Yeah. So go grab yourself a copy and buy his stuff on downloading music.
Yeah, Bandcamp or
There you go.
Yeah, Chill Hop I think is out of the Netherlands. I can't remember. But yeah, no. Support that dovetails into the early chronicles that we said. Like find an artist and support them during this time. So,
absolutely.
Yeah, that's cool. My selection for quality assurance is an accidental podcast I found. I was doing a trail hike with my son. And I was trying to find. It's a little bit of a squirrely trail if you don't know how to get to it. It's the old gold mine trail off of Mount Sumas.
Okay.
There's a cool local story here in Whatcom County. Just Google the old gold mine trail. And so anyway, I knew that it paralleled a private property, and I wanted to make sure that I was staying on the right line because I hadn't been out there before. And when I was somehow the algorithm for searching for that trail came up with the Cascade Hiker podcast because I used the word hiking with kids. And the gentleman name is Rudy. I'm going to probably forgive me if I say your last name wrong. Rudy Giddick. And I think he's based out of Everett doing this podcast, and he's got several hundred episodes. So he's been on the air probably as long as we have.
It ain't his first rodeo. Huh?
No. Anyway, so he has two little girls, and he was talking about. I found a fork, kind of like the Analog Sport. He forked his podcast where he has the Cascadian Kids Hiker podcast, where it's his two little girls and him.
Oh, the CCHP.
Yeah. So like, it seems like a very family. It's a family show type
Absolutely.
of thing, you know. But anyway, Rudy's show for the Cascadier Hiker podcast, like he has some cool I haven't heard a lot of his episodes, but he has some pretty cool guests, like the proprietor of the WTA, the Whatcom Trails Association, was on the show. He gets some other people in the hiking and Cascade community up on the show calling in, which is kind of cool. So yeah, so Rudy, here from Bellingham, we think you're the goods.
Absolutely, and we're doing this on purpose for this accidental podcast that AJ happened to stumble upon.
Yeah.
Here's hoping you don't stumble on your hikes, because that would lead to a whole lot of
no.
sad times.
Pick up your feet.
And pick up your feet and stick a fork in this show. I think we're about ready.
That wraps it up for this 160th edition of the Bellingham podcast.
160th? We're 80% of the way there to 200. Oh my goodness, you think we'd miss this, folks? That's a milestone of 160 episodes. Can you hear the music playing in the background? Yeah, that's our theme music for 160 episodes. Oh my goodness, AJ, we've talked our mouths off.
Oh my gosh, Chris.
All right, continue.
I did promise that we were going to get our happy on. That wraps it up for this 160th edition of the Bellingham podcast. Thank you again so much for listening to us, rating us, reviewing us, wherever you like to get your podcast. Remember, if you are here in the Bellingham area, you might be tuning in to us on KMRE 102.3 FM.
They are community powered and streaming at kmre.org.
And on that note, mask up. From the city by the Sailor Sea, I am AJ Barsay.
Stay safe out there, y'all. I'm Chris Powell. Thanks once again for joining us on the Bellingham podcast.
That was a very ambling episode, but man, I actually, that was fun.
Well, it's always fun. This is the journey, man. And we're not in a rush.
We just have a better tone about this one. I like it.